One. What's happening, folks? Welcome along to EFL today, our second episode, and our preview to a kind of busy weekend across the Football League here in England. No Championship action at all, no Premier League either, for what it's worth. We'll explain why in a moment or so. But loads to look forward to in League One and League Two. At the top end of League One, the race for promotion is... well, it's mad, isn't it? We'll be looking ahead to that. We'll be telling you about a manager who's lost his job at the bottom end of League One. And we'll be chatting about the maddest of promotion races in League Two, where basically no one fancies it. Loads to come. One man joins me as ever, as he will be doing every single week. It is Joe Jacobson, EFL legend, Wycombe Wanderers legend as well, left-footed supremo, set-piece king. How else do you want to be teed up, Joe?
Keep going. I'm loving this.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Very handsome lad, powered by Howard. He is the man. How are you, Joseph?
I'm even better now. I was great a couple of minutes ago, but now I'm on top of the world. Yeah. And it's great to see you as well. You've had a fresh trim, especially for this, haven't you?
Mate, fresh trim.
But you're wearing headphones as well, which isn't ideal, is it? Straight after you've had a haircut.
I don't mind. I'm not a prima donna. I'm not picky, mate. You know, as long as it looks neat and tidy and the sides are sharp, then I can live with it, pal. I can live with it.
Nice.
Bit of a quieter week this week, isn't it? Without any football midweek. I mean, we've had the Wycombe game against Rotherham. That was pretty damp up until the last sort of like 20 or so minutes, but it's been a quieter week.
It has, yeah. Very rarely do you get weeks like that, do you, throughout the season where there's only one game, an important game as well at the top end of League One, where Wycombe needed to bounce back, didn't they, after their defeat to Wrexham last weekend? And it was really important. And for, like you said, for an hour, 70 minutes, they were poor. It looked like their confidence had been drained out of them, even with King Kone back in the team. Richard Kone is top goal scorer in the whole of the EFL now. But it took a goal for Rotherham to kind of kickstart them. And yeah, they won in the end, which was amazing for them. You can't beat a last-minute kind of winner, but then another goal and then another goal against them for Rotherham. It was a crazy last kind of 5 minutes, but for them, that was huge. But I quite like these international breaks, you know, where the Premier League don't play, the Championship don't play, and it gives all the eyes on League One and League Two for the ones who are still playing. So for those teams, I think it's like important for them to be able to showcase what they're all about. And I'm going to be at a game. I'm sure you're going to be at a game as well. So it's still exciting this time of season. Anything goes.
Absolutely. Let's look at the top story of the week in League One. Of course, it is that big Wycombe win. Been pretty dull for the first 45, 50 minutes, and then towards the end, it just became a real all over the shop kind of affair. But Wycombe prevailing, beating Rotherham by 3-2, and all the pressure on Mike Dodds going into it because they've been beaten at home by Wrexham. But Joe, they were able to pick up what is a massive 3 points.
Massive, especially after the defeat to Wrexham on the weekend, where people are start questioning them. Are the wheels falling off? Is it tight? Have they had their moment now when Wrexham are going to come strong? So it's so important for them to get that win. And psychologically, they've been in the top two all season. So for them to drop out, you know, for only 2 days, I think it shows great character from them and really important. And Wrexham would have been watching that, you know, delighted with the first hour when Rotherham go 1-0 up. They're probably thinking, this is unbelievable. They're not going to be able to catch us back up with their game in hand. And all of a sudden, King Kone, Richard Kone, the man who came from non-league, he was playing in the parks with his mates and got picked up at the Homeless World Cup, you know, where in other sports, that story just doesn't happen, does it? Richard Kone came over to this country, played in the Homeless World Cup, scored a load of goals in non-league, gone to Wycombe, taken it like a duck to water, and all of a sudden he's a top goal scorer in the Championship and probably the hottest prospect in League One at the minute. And he's going to have a bright future.
Absolutely. It'd be interesting to see what division he's playing in next season as well. The top of League One, by the way, Birmingham City still miles ahead after playing 36 of their 46 games, have 83 points. And then Wycombe Wanderers, 37 played, 71 points. Wrexham, 37 played, 71 points. Wrexham behind them on goal difference. Charlton Athletic, 66 from their 37. Stockport, 65 from 37. Huddersfield, 61 from 37. And Bolton Wanderers just outside the playoffs on 60 points from their 37 games. We'll be talking more League One in a minute or so, as well as the fact that a manager from League One has lost his job. But first up, let's have a look around the Championship. Busy over the past few weeks. It feels like we're just able to take a breath and look ahead to next week's fixtures just with a bit more anticipation, a bit more of a keener eye as well, a bit more of a considered view on them, Joe. Some big games at the top. Leeds and Sheffield United obviously flying high in that division. And Sheffield United to take on Coventry, another team absolutely motoring under Frank Lampard. But both sides locked in at the top. Leeds with that humongous goal difference, which could be pivotal at the end of the season, a plus 51 goal difference in comparison to Sheffield United's plus 25.
Yeah, it could be. It could go down to that. I actually hope it does, just to make sure then that it all goes down to the wire, that there's still stuff to play for in the last game of the season. How good is it when you've seen games before last day of the season where either two teams just need a point to stay up, and after an hour they just stop playing and they just keep the ball at the back because they both know that that 1 point is enough. So whether or not that happens somewhere, I quite like that clubs are able to do that. But going back to the top, I love that there's been a 2-week gap for no Championship games, and you bring it back with a bang. Sheffield United against Coventry. Coventry, probably the toughest team. Friday night, probably the
under
toughest.
the lights, Bramall Lane.
Yeah, that's it. It's probably the toughest game at the minute to play Coventry, the form they're in under Frank Lampard. And that could set the stall up then for the rest of the weekend for the other teams. If Sheffield United get a big win there, the momentum that's going to do and put all the pressure back on Burnley and Leeds. However, the other way round, if they don't win, all of a sudden Burnley and Leeds are thinking, we've got an unbelievable chance now to cement our place in the top two. So huge game to look forward to. And, the Championships, it's mental, isn't it? Anyone just beats anyone. It's all about who can bring that consistency to the end of the season. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sheffield United, Bramall Lane is such a special place to watch football, isn't it? I think something that I really want to try and allay is the traditional sort of element of a stadium, a four-sided ground, and I'll be pulling up on it later on in the program. But Bramall Lane is one of those traditional four-sided grounds, sort of four separate stands, and yes, they're joined up kind of at the bottom, but it's not a round sort of bowl-like stadium, is it? It's so special to go and play there. The fans are wild. They sing loud. They make loads of noise. They sing a song to the tune of a John Denver song, any song at the start of a game, and it brings the atmosphere. It also helps that their manager is probably their biggest supporter.
Yeah, I love it there. I mean, I say I love it there. As a fan, I've loved it there. Playing there was never nice. I don't think I ever got a point, let alone a win there. It's a real tough place to go. But like you said, one of those traditional football stadium, and the Championship's littered with it, isn't it? You think of somewhere like Preston North End at Deepdale, where again,
that's not one I would have picked out straight away.
Really, I love that. That's one of my favourite places in the Championship. That Deepdale,
really,
rather than like. So, like a Middlesbrough and all them, they're nice stadiums, but not like that. I love a Sheffield United. I love an Ellen Road at Leeds. Portsmouth, Fratton Park, where,
ground.
You know what? Whenever I've played there as well, the guy who plays the drums or whatever he's got, the guy
he's got a bell and a trumpet.
Bell, that's what it is, not a drum. But he's got his top off in the middle of winter.
John Westwood, yeah.
That's who it is. Do you know what? I actually look out for him when I'm playing. I'm like, as I walk out, I know where he's right in the middle of that. The stand behind the goal, and you always look out for him, and it's always a good atmosphere there. It's always packed, isn't it? It doesn't need to be more than 18, 20,000, whatever it is. But
they sing properly. I was at their game against Leeds a couple of weeks ago, and no one sings like Portsmouth fans. They make one heck of a racket. So we start the Championship weekend on Friday the 28th of March with Sheffield United against Coventry. I'll bring you some odds from BetMGM in a moment. Leeds taking on Swansea. I can't see anything but 3 points for Leeds United there against Swansea City, and that looks like the tastiest of the 3 o'clocks. Although Burnley Bristol City looks like it's got a bit of an edge to it, Joe.
Yeah, but also, do you know what my favourite game for the weekend is Holby Luton? And now is that, you talk about the ultimate 6-pointer down the bottom end of the table. I think you've got two teams there where Hull under Ruben Celis have picked up wins when they've needed to and haven't quite dropped into the bottom three. And Luton with Matt Bloomfield there, they are desperate for a win, aren't they? They need to claw back some points on the teams above them. Last weekend, they've actually taken 4 points from 2 games, but because other teams have won, it's kind of created a little bit of a gap for them. So for their point of view, they have to win for me, because if not, then they can't catch Hull's one team they can't catch. And depending on Stoke and Cardiff results, it could be a really, really tough weekend for Luton.
The race for the playoffs is also absolutely incredible, and everyone's sort of traveling at breakneck speed right now. It looks like it's going to be 2 from 4 places. Coventry and West Brom sit 5th and 6th respectively. Coventry on 59 points, West Brom on 57, Bristol City on 57 with the worse off goal difference to West Brom and Derby, and Middlesbrough on 54, Blackburn on 52, although they've tailed away completely, haven't won in 5 since Valerian Ismail has come in. Blackburn Rovers, Watford again, beaten by Oxford. Millwall grabbed a late win on Saturday up at, where were Millwall? Millwall took on Stoke at the Den.
Stoke, yeah.
Millwall at Stoke at the Den, so they picked up a late win, courtesy of Mihajlo Ivanovic penalty. But looking at those playoff spots, someone's got to drop out, or some 2 have got to drop out, and 2 have got to go in there. Joe, where's your money at right now?
I knew you were going to ask this. I was going to ask you exactly the same question.
I can tell you my opinion, but I was, as our expert summariser, I'm asking you, pal.
I'm going for Sunderland, definitely being in there. I'm going Coventry, definitely going to be in there. And for me, I'm liking Bristol City at the minute. I like them. I like the way Anis Mehmeti's been playing this season. Scott Twine as well. Players that have played down the pyramid and been at League Two teams have come in and have that kind of flair about them that you can't really teach players. Especially with Anis Mehmeti, he's been brought up in those cages in London. Where they play 5-a-side and it's almost like street football that they play. And I've played against him and trained with him, and sometimes I'm looking at his feet and my eyes are just spinning in the back of my head. But I fancy Bristol City for me. So unfortunately, I'm thinking West Brom are gonna drop out. But that's my opinion. What about you?
Yeah, I think that obviously I think Burnley and Sunderland are guaranteed a playoff spot. I think Sunderland, that gap to Coventry at 10 points is just far too big to sort of like condense down. And I think it'll be Coventry. And again, one of West Brom or Bristol City. I don't really see any other challengers out there, even though Middlesbrough are 3 points off. I'd be very, very surprised if they get in there. I think they've lost far too many games, 14 of their 38. I'm with Bristol City as well. I'm with Coventry and Bristol City, although I just don't think either of them will win the playoffs. I don't think Bristol City will win the playoffs. I'd love to see it. They've never been in the Premier League, and I don't know, that club deserves some success. They've got fantastic infrastructure. What they do is great. They've got one of the best grounds outside the Premier League. They've refurbed it beautifully. Proper club steeped in heritage. They love cider as well. Yeah, it's great. They love cider down there.
Talking of cider, right? So when I played for Bristol Rovers, if you won man of the match, you used to get a crate of cider. That's what you'd get. It wouldn't be a bottle of champagne, or it wouldn't be a little trophy to say you got man of the match. You get a crate of cider. Now, what's one way to make sure that player doesn't play well the week after? Give him a crate of cider.
I mean, you put in 10 performances every week, no?
Well, I tried to, but after you win a few man of the matches, it's really difficult to.
How many man matches did you win?
It's talking about 15 years ago here.
Couple,
I can't remember what. A couple. Took a couple of crates home over my couple of years there. That was
very, very good. BetMGM has posted odds for that game on Friday night, by the way. Sheffield United taking on Coventry under the lights, Bramall Lane. It's going to be exciting. Sheffield United plus 105. So if you bet $100, you get $105 back. Coventry City, they're plus 260. You bet 100, you win 260. And the draw is plus 250. Bet 100, win 250. Joe, which way would you go on that?
So difficult to go against Sheffield United at home, isn't it? At Bramall Lane, like you said, under the lights. And also, when there's been a break of a few weeks, the fans are just expecting, aren't they? They're excited. They're going to bring their energy. They've missed it. They know that there's only 9 games left of the season, and it's kind of like the final straight, isn't it? So I just think that the fans behind them, they had an unbelievable win against Sheffield Wednesday in the derby last week. And for me, it's going to be really difficult to look past a home win for Sheffield United.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the United defense is so good. So good. But I do like what Coventry have in attack. I'm gonna go for the draw.
Okay.
I'd stick a bit of money on the draw. I think it's really safe bet. I think you've got goals in both sides. The Sheffield United defense is the only thing that'll pull me back from going for the draw. But I think Coventry have a lot of goals in them. Hadji Wright hat trick at the weekend. Special player.
Yeah, no, they do, but they haven't come across a defense like Sheffield United before with Michael
Yeah,
Cooper
true.
in goal. You know, for me, I actually rate him higher than James Trafford at Burnley. I think he's
Yeah, I think
that
he's the
good,
best
Michael
outside the
Cooper.
Premier League.
Yeah, I agree. And Trafford's getting, international call-ups at the minute for England. I think Michael Cooper, whether it's this season or next season with Sheffield United in the Premier League, he will be a number one in the Premier League very, very soon. And what will come with that is international honours as well.
Absolutely. Those odds courtesy of BetMGM. This is EFL Today with me, Aaron Paul, and Joe Jacobson. Let's look into League One. Birmingham City flying high at the top. And Joe, I just want to sort of take a deep dive on them. Their game at Stevenage postponed. Um, we'll talk about that as well, and sort of like why games are on and off this weekend. But a 12-point lead at the top of the division, how hard is it not to sort of get distracted and sort of off piste and off course?
Yeah, you see that, don't you, a few times when leagues are kind of wrapped up. Look, they haven't officially won the league yet, but they've won the league. Let's be honest. So sometimes what happens is when players know that they've done something, then they can take the foot off the gas, and um, things you just don't prepare as well. Maybe you'll celebrate one week and that puts you back a couple of weeks. But I feel like with them now, they've got the opportunity to break the record of points in, not just in League One, but in the history of the EFL. I think Reading have it at the minute with 106
106.
points. So I think they've got an opportunity, 23 more points from 9 games. It's going to be tough. It's going to be ridiculously tough. And they've spent a lot of time recently without Jay Stansfield, the big signing, the huge signing in League One, which will be the biggest signing ever in League One, in my opinion. And they deserve to be where they are. I don't care that they've spent money, because ultimately in football, in sport, if you spend money on players, then you're going to get success. But I just think it's great for Birmingham actually to have this success. Sometimes clubs they have a bit of a low point. They go through a cycle where things aren't going well. They get relegated, and it takes something to kind of lift the club again. And all of a sudden, you've seen it before where clubs will get promoted once and get back-to-back promotions just because they've carried that momentum throughout the club. And the size of Birmingham, the funds behind them, with someone like Tom Brady involved in the football club, it's just going to attract players. People want to sign for Birmingham now just so they can have a photo with Tom Brady. I genuinely believe that players will think about that when they sign
No,
this.
really?
100% people will do it. They'll do it with Wrexham. With when Ryan Reynolds is tweeting players saying like "Welcome to Wrexham" and things like that. Players want that. I'm telling you now.
I saw JJ Watt say to I think it was James Trafford, the goalkeeper at Burnley. Obviously, JJ Watt is an investor at that football club and very much involved there. But I think he had a bet with James Trafford. Trafford with the most consecutive clean sheets record in that division. And he turned around and he talked about sort of like the influence of being in and around the squad, sort of being in and around the gym area, just like lending advice. But the best one was JJ Watt turned around and said he'd come out in retirement and play for the Cincinnati Bengals if Trafford managed to extend his record-breaking run of 12 championship clean sheets to the end of the season. They conceded a goal, so JJ Watt won't be playing for the Cincinnati Bengals, from what we understand. But I mean, again, these celebrity owners, they're going in, they're doing bits, and they're putting their money where their mouth is, and they're showing love to the Football League.
Absolutely, and where Premier League owners are probably billionaires, the tech guys, or wherever they've come from, or even countries now owning clubs. For the EFL now, it's kind of the cool place to be, isn't it? If you're a superstar, you want to invest in sports teams, the EFL is the place to be at the minute. And if you've got someone like JJ Watt or Tom Brady who can just lend that bit of experience to the team, to the players, about, they know what it takes to win elite level sporting matches. They know what mindset to have. They know what experiences that the players are going through. So if they can just give a little bit of the players, you know what it's like. If Tom Brady walks into the change room at Birmingham and says, right, lads, I'm going to give you a team talk today, every player will just be sat there like mouth wide open, eyes like staring, thinking, every single word you're doing now, you're telling me, I'm going to write down, I'm going to take with me forever. So I feel like it brings that extra kind of impetus on players to perform, knowing as well that they've got someone like him watching games, knowing what's going on. If you can impress someone like Tom Brady, wow, you're going to be sorted. So I think it's great for the EFL.
So Saturday, no championship and a load of games in League One called off, as well as League Two, but mostly in League One. And that is because international teams are playing. I believe the USA are playing a game as well, a qualifier for some tournament or other. But we'll be watching closely as the New England manager, Thomas Tuchel, takes to Wembley for the first time on Friday and Monday. No, Joe?
I'm Welsh, so I'm not going to be watching England.
I know. I was poking the bear. Who you got?
I don't even know who Wales have got.
Proper
Craig
Welshman,
Bellamy's at the
isn't it?
wheel,
Proper
though.
Welshman.
Craig Bellamy's at the wheel, so we're going to go places.
There you go. Well, I've done a radio show here in the mornings on the BBC, and I told everyone that my I was gonna have like a watch party. It was gonna start with Tajikistan versus Belarus. Belarus won that one 5-0. Then Laos versus Sri Lanka. I was also going to try and catch up with Sierra Leone versus Guinea-Bissau, Zimbabwe versus Benin, Cape Verde versus Mauritius, and then at 6 o'clock, I'm going to go dual screen. I'm going to watch Lebanon versus Timor-Leste, and then Libya versus Angola. Oh, by the way, Mozambique, Uganda finished 3-1 Mozambique. Big game there. But loads of international football, which it kind of gives us time to cool off, but also just sets juices going again. And this weekend in League One, there are some really, really good clashes to look ahead to. Crawley Town, sat manager Rob Elliott, and Crawley struggling down the foot of the table, basically done if you think about it in terms of relegation. Second from bottom, 30 points from their 37 games, and a solid 12 points off of safety. But sacking Rob Elliott, and look, they're owned by a cryptocurrency group, aren't they? Wagme United, and it always baffles me how they are able to put a squad together and put people in places, because I don't know, the things they do are a little bit sketchy, I find, Joe. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but that's what I use.
Well, I don't know. You obviously know him a lot more than I do. But no, it's a strange one, and it's a really strange time to do it as well. I know Rob. I played with Rob years ago at Accrington Stanley, in fact, when we were both about 20 years old. But when Scott Lindsay left, it took him a while, didn't it, to bring someone in, and they brought in Rob Elliott, and it just hasn't worked. But I just think about the timing of the sacking. I think what are you trying to, whether or not they're thinking, right, let's get someone in, let's you've got 8-9 games left of the season, let's try and maybe get some continuity. A new manager might come in, and
if they're bringing someone in to let them assess the squad, it's a good thing.
Yes, yeah, I don't mind that. They've obviously given up. Look, it's 12 points for them to safety, and I don't think they've got any chance of staying up. But why bring them in the first place? If you brought them in for the long-term project, if you have, then the last couple of months shouldn't have affected that. I think they were down, pretty much all season from when everyone left in the summer and Scott Lindsay left. I just think the club was destined for one place, and there's a lot of talk about Scott Lindsay going back there after he got sacked as well from MK Dons. I think that could happen. I see that. I don't know where you think about that.
I don't really comment on matters Milton Keynes, but I'm with you. I reckon Scott Lindsay returning there could be a good little gig for him. Crawley have got Bristol Rovers, by the way, and I think a win for Bristol Rovers, and it's kind of good night for Crawley. Cambridge away at Barnsley. Neil Harris, their manager, he's a real character. He came up with some real funny lines this week where he talked about the players having so much desire, so much passion, so much commitment, and then basically in the same interview turned around and said they had none of it, which was quite funny. They are going to go through an intense process of making changes as well. Bottom club Shrewsbury, they are not in action, but elsewhere, Peterborough Charlton looks interesting, as does Wrexham Stockport. Two interesting ties at the top end of the table, Joe.
Yeah, the Wrexham Stockport game is huge, isn't it? For me, it's the biggest game in English football this weekend. Even though has a Welsh team playing for it, I think that's what we do. We make the English Football League better. With Wrexham, if anyone doesn't really know, but Wrexham, Newport, and Cardiff City are the three teams able to play in the EFL, along with Merthyr Tydfil, who play far down the pyramid. But Wrexham Stockport is huge, and Wrexham, like I said earlier, who saw Wycombe win in the week. I guarantee every player would have been watching that, and manager watching that, hoping for a Rotherham win. For them now to have an opportunity with Wycombe not playing to go back into second position, I think is really, really important. But for Stockport, they've been on fire as well, and they're going to still have an outside hope of finishing in those top two places. So they're going to be thinking, we need to beat Wrexham. They beat them already this season 1-0 in the reverse fixture. So, they know what it takes to beat Wrexham. They've got two managers and two teams that have played against each other at the top end of the league for the last couple of seasons. Stockport got the better of Wrexham last season, winning the league, and Wrexham second. So, these two have got like a little mini rivalry going on at the minute, which sometimes happens in football. They're not too far away from each other. And I think the Wrexham, it's a must-win. I think it's a must-win for both teams. So it's going to be really exciting to watch.
Interesting stuff. Joe, let's bop into League Two. Top of the table, Walsall. I don't even know how you preview this one. They've decided against postponing their game on Saturday, even though three of their first team regulars are international duty. And by the way, guys, just to let you know, if three of your players are heading away on international duty to play for their nations at this time, you have free will to cancel your game and postpone it and say you'll play at a later date. Walsall will be missing players, 5 players, in fact, and have decided, hey, yeah, we're not going to bother with it. They've also got a suspension. They are top of League Two, but this is a bit mad. They haven't won in 5 games. Bear in mind they're 12 points at the top of clear at the top of League Two. It's starting to get a little bit hectic up there, and they take on Gillingham on Saturday, who have had fine. It's been a horrible season for Brad Gallanton's Gills. Which way do you see this going with the chasing pack? And I mean, they are chasing pack. Imagine the Lion King, like Mufasa and all them, like running along, and Scar and all them lads. This is what it's like. It's the whole jungle behind them. Everyone's trying to get out the top rather than the bottom, and the race is on.
I don't know how they found themselves in this position. They were the best team form-wise in the country for the first half of the season. Then all of a sudden, it feels like Nathan Lowe, who was on loan from Stoke, left, and all of a sudden he took everything with him, not just his boots and his shin pads, but he took his goals and his wins as well for the football club. And they haven't been able to recover from it. And I don't understand this decision to play. I don't understand it. A team that they haven't been informed, they've got a lot of their players missing. It's an opportunity to have a rest, have a reset, maybe give the players 4 or 5 days off, get away, come back, reset, 9 games to go in a couple of months. And I think it would be a perfect opportunity, whether or not they're so worried about the teams behind them gaining on them even more, and they don't want to kind of be behind. I just can't see it. And it feels like a rash decision for me, one that hasn't been made. And I worry that, John Coleman got his first win, didn't he, for Gillingham in a long time. And he's going to be going there thinking, this could be a big scalp this weekend, and we can do a lot of other teams a favour. And when you said about the chase and pack, I'm going to be watching Notts County and Crewe this weekend. 2 teams who, Crewe are in 8th place, and they're still hunting down the top 3 automatic places.
Well,
so let alone
you're not watching my mob.
I'm actually working. I'm working at Notts County Crewe, so unfortunately, not. Actually, no. I can watch Wimbledon. What time's Wimbledon on this weekend?
3 o'clock.
I'll watch both then. I can do both because I'm at Notts County at 12:30, Wimbledon at 3 o'clock. There's my afternoon sorted. My Saturday. My wife's going to be really happy that I'm out of the house for all afternoon. And yeah, it's going to be again, like I said, how many teams can achieve that automatic promotion? League Two at the top is unbelievable this season.
Yeah, absolutely mad. The top end of League Two, Walsall top 37, played 69 points. Bradford 3 points behind them. Wimbledon 3 points behind Bradford. Doncaster same points as Wimbledon, but a far inferior goal difference. Notts County on 61, Port Vale on 61, Colchester on 58. And Colchester United are the team I want to talk about. Absolutely motored this season. Their pitch has seen an absolute horror show. It's just been horrific. I spoke to their manager Danny Cowley this week, and he praises the team's spirit, the strength. It's what it's all about. And I always ask managers, Joe, and it's my favourite question to ask: would you rather be the chaser or the chased? And I ask in this question because Colchester are very much the chasers, and I think they're enjoying being the chasers.
Yeah, and some teams are, and found it at Bradford, haven't we, recently, that they've chased and chased and chased, and they had an opportunity to go level on points with Walsall, and they blew it in probably the easiest game on paper they've had for a long, long time against Tranmere. So chasing, I think, psychologically is a lot easier than being chased, knowing that if you make a mistake, someone's come to get you. I think when you're chasing teams down, there's no pressure on you to kind of win every week, and if you don't quite get there, it's okay because no one's expecting you to. So it'd be interesting now that they've chased down the playoffs, now that they're in there, that do they kick on again and try and chase down the automatics? I think because the automatics are so close to them, I think they've got an opportunity. You win 5 games in a row. What is it? Unbeaten in 13 as well. They're the informed team in the division, and no one's going to want to go to Colchester away.
Nope.
The pitch there is horrible, like you said. They're on fire. They know how to play on that pitch, and I know some of their players. You know some of their players, and I know when they're on that pitch, he'll be. There's one or two that will be in opposition's ear saying, "You don't want to play here. This is horrible. We're going to make it horrible for you." You got, like you said, Danny Cowley, the manager of Colchester. He's happy when his team are playing in ugly games. He's a master at it, and he can do very, very well in those situations. So, wouldn't surprise me if they go the rest of the season winning every game at home, and they're the team to look out for the automatic spots.
Absolutely. I'm off to watch my mum play Barrow. Fingers crossed for another home win as we put pressure on the chasing pack, sitting nicely in third, AFC Wimbledon, but level on points with Doncaster. Come on, you boys! Come on, the Dons. Joe, I want to go and delve deep into your mind and ask you for something from the mind of Joe Jacobson. What would you like to talk about this week?
Now that there's a extra emphasis, extra eyes on the lower leagues this weekend with the international break, it reminds me of how close you can get being a fan to the action, to the players. And it takes me back to me taking throw-ins, the position I played, taking throw-ins, taking corners, the abuse I used to get because I was so close to some fans a lot of the time. In fact, there'd be some stadiums where you have to move them away from where they're standing so you could run up and take a corner. And at Cheltenham, where the big stand opposite the tunnel is, there's no barrier. There's nothing to stop the fans running on the pitch if they want and doing whatever they wanted to do. But playing there a few years ago, taking a corner, and they had a great player, Chris Hussey, who's been around the lower leagues a long time, got wand of a left foot. And I step up to take a corner and the fans start singing, "You're just a shit, Chris Hussey," just over and over again. I actually I took a corner and it was rubbish. And I started singing it to them as well. I didn't mind having a bit with fans. Anyway, they carry on singing it. I take the corner, we score. I turn around and I just put my arms out, a little bit like Jude Bellingham does. And you can hear on the commentaries, luckily someone filmed it, and there's people laughing and people saying fair play. And I walk over to the fan I think he's got his fingers up at me or something as well, give me a nice little welcome in. But I shook his hand and he just said, "Fair play, well done." So that's what I love about the EFL, that you can have that banter, you can get close to people, you can abuse them, but you should be able to take it. And that Cheltenham fan that day definitely took it.
Heartwarming, Joseph. Heartwarming as ever.
And what about you, Az? What's on your mind this week?
It's the Man United Stadium decision that they're going to be building a new ground. But I look at it and I bemoan the lack of sort of wanting to keep traditional four-side stadiums. That's why I love the Football League so much. We've got the best group of stadiums. Every single one of them denotes, every single one of them apart from one denotes character,
Which one?
history, tradition. It's that bowl thing in Milton Keynes. I don't know, absolute. Yeah. Anyway, but every single stadium's got a story to tell. I went to Portsmouth the other week. You look at the history of that place. The ground is falling down. Like it's in such bad nick, such bad condition. The seats are tight. It's a real tight squeeze to get in there, but the atmosphere just turns on. You look at Ellen Road, Leeds United, 34,000, not a bowl in sight, not a you don't need these extra things. And I think we're becoming so obsessed with clubs that want to they want stadiums for 7-day use, and they want to be putting on Taylor Swift concerts and stuff like that, and that's great. But I promise you, if you ask Tottenham if they'd rather play good football and have their old stadium, the old White Hart Lane, which was incredible ground, versus this Disneyland with the Formula One track underneath and Beyonce and Taylor Swift concerts and meh football, I know what they'd pick. The EFL, though, you look at some of the stadiums. I mean, you look at the shirts I got up there, Wimbledon, Bournemouth, who are obviously in the Premier League now, but Bournemouth, Dean Court, it's such a tiny little ground. It was great. Millwall, right behind me, concrete jungle, 20,000 in there, and they make some noise. It's what it's all about. The traditional four-sided ground, the smell of burgers and onions as you walk in, and in other places, cigarettes and stuff like that. But hey, we won't talk about that. But tradition, that's what it's all about.
Nice, love it.
Tradition. That is it for EFL today. We'll be back Monday as we look back at the EFL games. I might be crying, I might be happy. I don't know what I'm going to be like. Go and watch an EFL game this weekend. That's what I say to you guys. Get involved. Go and check it out. League One and League Two will surely be entertaining and will no doubt pull up some more storylines, which we cannot wait to chew through again on Monday. Catch you then, guys.